Refrigerator noises. To begin with, go to LG.com and from the home page in the Search LG box, upper right-hand corner, just type in the word noises and hit enter. It should take you to a page that says Search Results for Noises. If you will scroll down toward the bottom of the page, you'll find refrigerator noises. Highlight it, get the little hand with finger, click, and now this takes you to what we call our sound diagnosis. In this part, it's going to show you a picture, a diagram of a refrigerator, and it's going to show you on the first page, it's showing where two fan motors, the refrigerator room and the freezer room fan motor, and at the bottom underneath the pictures, you'll see a line of circles. Scroll down just below that and you'll see a bar with a start button. Push the start button and it will play the sound of those fans. Now, it will tell you that that is almost always on, that the freezer and refrigerator compartment fans run most of the time due to the fact it's circulating the air throughout the unit to keep the temperatures down and a constant temperature. This is a normal sound. From this page, you can now go through and either hitting the arrow or just hit the next dot. It will take you to the next page, which is a duplicate of page 1. Then page 3 goes into the damper. The damper is used on a single evaporator system to move cold air from the freezer to the refrigerator. What it sounds like, again, hit the play button. This noise, you'll hear it about maybe once an hour, and it's just where that damper is opening to allow cold air into the freezer or not. Now, some of these noises may sound a lot noisier, or some are going to sound noisier than you would have at home because of where we had to place the microphone to get the sound. So a lot of these noises will be a little bit different, but you should be able to say, hey, that's the noise I'm hearing. And also the frequency. So from here we go to our our next noise, which would be case shrinking and expansion. Now this noise is one that you'll probably only hear every 4 to 12, maybe even 16 hours. And it happens when the unit defrosts because you've got a cabinet that's at 0 degrees. And then you're going to heat it up to get the frost off the coils. So metals and plastics tend to expand and contract with heat and cold. So you'll hear a little bit of creaking and popping noises. And that is considered normal. Next, we go into refrigeration gurgling. Now, as refrigerant flows through the cooling system, sometimes you'll hear this every couple of hours, but it's almost like a stream running over rocks. Now, this is the liquid refrigerant flowing through the system. After a few minutes, this noise will start going away, but you'll hear it every now and again. And it's just the refrigerant moving through the system, picking up heat and getting rid of it for you. Now, Behind the refrigerator is the heart of the system, the compressor. And the compressor, it makes like a humming noise, and you'll hear it on probably 60-70% of the time, maybe a little bit longer. And what it does is it's moving that refrigerant through the system. And this is what it sounds like. Now, one of the things I want to mention here is the compressor, since it runs a good bit of the time. Nowadays, we build homes with hard floors, tile, and we put a refrigerator into a cabinet. So what we've done is create like an amphitheater for noise. During the day, we never notice a compressor running, it seems like, but at night, when the whole house gets quiet, if you happen to walk in front of the refrigerator, you tend to notice it a lot better. And this is a normal noise. The next noise we want to go into is the three-way valve. The three-way valve is a device that moves refrigerant from one evaporator to the other as needed, and it's like a gate valve, or so that it moves it from 1 to 2. As it moves, you'll hear like a thump, 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 thump. You could hear this once or twice an hour, and it sounds something like this. Okay, also located in the back is a cooling fan. This fan's job is to help cool that compressor so that the unit runs better. This fan is on anytime the compressor's on, and this is what it sounds like. Now, I will mention if you're looking at the back of your refrigerator, right-hand side, you'll notice a little bit of venting, vent. That vent, if it gets covered with lint, the noise from the fan could actually produce almost a whistling noise as it's trying to draw air through there. That's why that area needs to be vacuumed periodically. The next noise we come to is the ice maker without the water being connected. Sometimes, especially when we've just got a new refrigerator, if we haven't hooked the water up, the ice maker should be turned off because it will attempt to take water, and this is a noise you will hear. The next is a clicking noise. Depending on the age of your refrigerator, our boards use relays and they click as something happens. Or in some of the older units, they had a defrost timer that would click into defrost and click out of defrost. So times could vary, but once, twice a day, you might hear this noise. Now, rattling noises. Rattling noises can occur for several different reasons. One of them could be the water line on the back of the unit is rattling against it when water's taken. It could also be because the unit is not secure to the floor. If you can barely push your refrigerator and it wobbles left to right, front to back, that can cause a rattling noise. That noise can be compounded if the refrigerator is shaken while the compressor is running. A sizzling noise is next. Every 4 to 16 hours when the unit goes in defrost, a heater, much like a heating element on top of your stove, comes on to heat up and defrost the coils. While it's warm, as the frost melts, turns to water, the water drips. If it lands on the element, you will hear a sizzling noise. With this noise, occasionally customers also say they'll hear it like a pss, pss, pss. And that's just the same as if you were throwing little drops of water on a hot plate. Next, we're covering another vibration issue. This could be random. It could be for unit not level. It could be for things touching inside the doors. It's a variation of before. Now, with this type of noise, a lot of times if you place a hand on the refrigerator and push either left, right, front, or rear, and the noise disappears, it is a good indication that the unit is not sitting firmly on the floor and just needs to be adjusted. Next is a dripping noise. When the unit goes into defrost, that water, once it drips past the heater, falls into a drain pan, follows a tube, and drips down underneath the unit into what's called the defrost drain tray. Warm air from the components in the machine compartment, coupled with the cooling fan down there, evaporate this water away very quickly. But during the defrost cycle, you may hear water dripping into that underneath pan. From that last slide, if you will scroll down slightly, you will see a list of normal noises. These noises are what we just went over. Where those are considered normal noises, we have some abnormal noises. The first one is vibrating. Now, if the noise is like this and you can touch the cabinet and get it to stop, this is just like earlier, more than likely the unit just needs to be solidified. You can also get this noise if either the side or the back of the refrigerator is actually touching a wall in the house. Next is a humming or buzzing noise. Now, while this noise at a low level is considered normal, if this noise gets to a very high pitch to where it can be heard uncomfortably, you need to call for service with that kind of noise. This noise is abnormal, but it's not something to worry about. This tapping noise is caused when the unit's running and someone moves it, the compressor will make that noise. It should not last more than about a minute, minute and a half at most. But while the compressor is running in a steel shell and somebody moves it, it will actually start banging on that steel shell. It only happens when the unit is being moved while operating. Next, vibrating and rattling noise. Again, for this type of noise, I would look for the unit not being properly set on the floor, resting against a wall or a back. I've also seen where if glass containers inside are touching each other, it'll be more of a higher pitched rattle, like two glasses against each other, but it's all caused by failure to have the unit properly leveled up and sitting firmly on the floor. The last noise, we have a couple of examples, is hissing and gurgling. The first one is definitely a noise that happens when the frost melts and drips onto the heater. It makes that hissing noise as the water's being evaporated. The second example they give you is a gurgling noise that could come from the seal system. And generally, you're going to hear that a couple of times a day, maybe once every 4 to 5 hours, and usually it doesn't last that long. It's just the refrigerant going through the system. Hopefully, having gone through what we consider normal and abnormal noises, this will help you in trying to decide if you need to call for service on your LG refrigerator. Thank you.